Hello and welcome to today's video, which is a how-to video, how to change a fill valve on a toilet. Now, this video is intended for people who are working in the industry, so plumbers, heating engineers, someone who's skilled at what they do, or maybe apprentices who are starting off and want something to, give them a little bit of guidance. I understand that there will be some people out there who would want to try this job out as a DIY job, which is absolutely fine as well. But just making you aware, if it goes wrong and you're not sure what to do, it could cause a lot more trouble. So if you're not sure what to do, if you're not confident in doing this, if you don't feel you're competent enough, it's best to call a professional. Now, the first thing I would advise anyone to do is know where the main water stopcock is. Now, this is because although you might have an isolation valve to the toilet, if things go wrong, and when things go wrong, they go wrong very quickly, very badly, it's always a good idea to know where the main stopcock is so that in an emergency, you can turn it off. And if you need to, just turn it off from the stopcock. That way, you know that the water is off everywhere and you can take your time and work in peace. So I hope you find this video useful. If you do, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button. Trying to get a few more how-to videos up and a few more tips and tricks, and I hope you enjoy them, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Okay, so we've got a fill valve which is filling really slowly. So usually it's the little diaphragm washer in here which can be replaced, but I don't have those on me unfortunately. But I do have a new fill valve on the van, so we're going to go ahead and get this swapped out. Okay, first thing you want to do is isolate the water. So luckily there's an isolation valve here, so shut that off. Now just make sure there's no more water going in, so that's good. Flush the toilet to get rid of the excess water inside. Don't drop the stick. And then what I tend to do is I've used a wet vac to suck up the rest of the water, but what you can do is if you haven't got a wet vac, sponge, keep putting it in and rinsing it out, put it in, rinsing it out, but I'm just going to use the wet vac to get all that dried out, so then we can start undoing that. Next, you want to undo the flexi onto this, so just get a spanner. It shouldn't be too tight because there'll be a rubber washer on it anyway. You're going to get a little bit of water that's draining out of there, which is fine. So don't panic as long as you've got the water off from the valve. There you go. Right, so that's the water off there. Now you've got a nut up here, so for that you can either use a set of grips, or again you can use a spanner. Undo that. You may have to hold the fill valve inside the toilet as well. So undo the back nut, and then that will just pop up. And there you go. That's your old fill valve, and now we're just going to replace it, do the reverse and replace it with that one. Now it's always a good idea just to give the inside a little bit of a clean, just to make sure that we're going to make a nice good seal when we put the new flush valve in. Now a lot of the new ones, they will come now with a rubber washer on the inside, and then you've got the plastic washer which goes on the outside. That's just to make sure that when you tighten it up to the system, it's not going to crack the system. The old one didn't have that, it just had the back nut, so you've got an extra washer there, so just make sure that goes on the bottom here. So I always smear a little bit of silicone grease on anything that's got rubber on it, rubber washers, rubber O-rings. You don't have to, but I just find it just gives me a little bit more reassurance that it's going to make a nice watertight seal. So now literally just drop that in there, angle it so that it's not going to hit anything, and then from the bottom all we've got to do, it's got your plastic washer, closer, so hold it from the top, plastic washer on there, and obviously that's going to fall off like that. So what I tend to do, hold them together, pop that in, and then do it up, So you want to do it up first by hand and then give it a nip with your spanner or grips. You don't over tighten it because it's got the rubber washer inside. You just want to make sure that cone shape that was sitting down gets flattened, and that's what's then going to make the seal. So to be fair, that's pretty tight anyway by hand, but I'll just give it probably maybe a little nip. That's it. Don't want to go too hard on that. Right, that's in. Now redo your connection. Nip it up. Remember, there's a rubber washer inside here as well, so again, you don't need to go too mad. Okay, and now turn the water back on and we test it for leaks. Okay, so first thing you want to check if you've got any water coming from here or here, which we don't, so that's a good sign first. And now we're going to let this fill up, and you can see already how much quicker that's filling up. So we'll let that fill up, and then what I tend to do is just let it sit full and check underneath here, make sure that we don't have any water coming out of there. So now that's sitting at a good level, just below the overflow. So if it goes too high, then it's going to start going down the overflow. So just going to let that sit for a few minutes with the system full of water. Just going to check down here that we don't have anything dripping. So far so good. So leave that for a few minutes, then flush it a couple of times just to test it. If it's all good, then you're done. Right, that's been sitting like that for a few minutes. Now let's just give it a flush. Oh, it's looking good. It's filling up. We're all done.